On today's episode, we have Lauren Gregory, an All-American in Arkansas, a finalist at USA's, and winner of the USATF Vertical Mountain Running Championships. Thanks for joining us, Lauren.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So I guess to start, what got you into running initially?
Well, pretty classic. My parents ran and, well, not in college or competitively, but they did I don't know, I think just everyone in Colorado runs at some point in their life. So they were kind of just in that stage. And my mom was doing marathons and triathlons. And then they do the Boulder every year in Boulder, obviously. And it's like this 10K. But then at some point, I don't know, I think they just got tired of finding me a sitter or something and just kind of brought me along. And I guess we trained because my mom and dad would run pretty often, like especially on the weekends. So I think they would just bring me along like every Saturday.
Yeah.
And I probably threw fits. Actually, I know I threw a couple fits on those runs, which they claimed to be 6 miles, but I think they were, looking back, I do think they were closer to like 8 or 9, and I was definitely walking.
Oh, damn.
So I don't know really what they were thinking, you know, hoping that I'd finish, I guess. But then we got to the race and my dad was like, "Oh, we'll just stick together, like walk whenever you want." And it's a huge party. Like I don't even know how many thousands of people run this race, and there's music at every corner and just like live bands, and people are handing out Doritos and like bacon in their like front yards, and it's just a huge party and everyone's just around running. And so I was feeling pretty good, and I was like, okay, yeah, like dad, you're kind of pulling me back. I'm just gonna go. And so we just devised a plan to meet at the finish at Folsom, and just a meeting spot. So that kind of was when I was like, this is actually fun, like get a community together and just, roll. And then ever since then, I just did summer track while playing soccer. So I was mainly kind of just half soccer, half track,
Hmm.
for a long time. And Fort Collins had, well, I was living in Windsor. I grew up in Windsor, Colorado.
Okay.
But they would drive me over to I did rec track in Windsor, and then eventually led to track club in Fort Collins. And my parents would just drive me over there, my brother and I, and we'd run indoor meets at like Air Force, and that was really fun. But I think just having friends in this sport, and Fort Collins ended up being a really good, Fort Collins High School ended up being a really good high school for me running wise. And yeah, so it seemed like where we were at just had all the resources to kind of get me to love running and continue it. So
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that, I guess, the Fort Collins area and culture got you into the trail running when you did the mountain championships? Because you did your first one the summer after your senior year, right?
yeah, that was the junior, but I think that was just all I had to do was apply, and then I got in luckily. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we were just talking about this, and it's cool that you know some of the running spots. But my high school's program was just like all summer and school year, really, like because we didn't do indoor in Colorado, and so we'd run trails most of the year. And cross, we'd do more like bike path tempos and like grass hills and stuff. Um, but in the summer off season running and winter off season running, we would just go out to the trails and do like mountain runs basically. And it was awesome because the my track coaches, like I think the oldest he one was maybe in his 60s 70s. He just retired from teaching a few years ago, but he would do it too. So it was just like the whole squad, no matter where you were on the team, brand new to the program, everyone was running up Horsetooth Mountain every Friday at 6 a.m. if you chose to do summer cross country.
Yeah.
And like as I got into training heavier, and like by the end of, I guess, sophomore junior year or summer going into those years, just like I just looked forward to Wednesday long run more than anything. And it was just like you could it started off on trail and climbed up pretty steep kind of in the middle of it, and then we just ran this road that just like did hills, and then the 14 turnaround was at the very end of the reservoir, and you got to do this like cool trail up to this ridge. And it was just so fun. And I like looked forward to the week that like my mileage would be at its peak for the long run, and because it just felt like an event. Like I'd plan it the night before, my friend and I would bring our little goose, and oftentimes we'd swim in the reservoir like mid-run. So it wasn't super like grindy, I guess. It was just,
Yeah.
it felt just like a fun morning to just like be out for a long time and just have super fun. So yeah, I guess that was really like when I decided in high school, I was like, I want to be a pro trail runner. Like I want to do this type of running.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that has been like in me since high school, and my mom would take me up there when I was a kid and just let me go and run, and I think that was just always where I could find like the freedom in running.
Yeah. So then did you, knowing that you wanted to do that, then progress that into, okay, I want to run at Arkansas?
Yeah, so I guess then I had a good amount of success on the track in Colorado, and Coach Harder was, one of the first people to call me, and I didn't know where Arkansas was on the map. And so I went on my visit, and I think back, it was less of the trail running draw and more of just the people and the community, which was the whole reason, I guess, why I started loving running at the Boulder Boulder. It just felt like, you know, a group of best friends that gets to train together, and everyone loved each other and like wanted to help each other out. And I just felt like just really brought into that from day one. So yeah, that was the draw to Arkansas, was definitely the people on the team and the support around. But luckily Coach Harder and I have been able to work out a balance with mountain running, and he knows that I kind of have to go do my thing, and
Yeah.
he doesn't really try to stop me as long as I'm careful, which I try to be. So
How was that, just balancing the training out?
well, all
Tough?
year I basically run, but all year I do this schedule. Like I run with the team, and I hardly get on trails during the school year, because like you're just trying to turn yourself into like a little racehorse,
Hmm.
and especially in indoors and stuff. So I really try to put all my energy into that while I'm there, with the trade-off of being able to have like all the freedom to trail run in the summers. So usually I just try to like release all my mountain wiggles all summer and then come back like refocus. But this year might look a little different. I don't have cross country. So that's kind of the thinking of doing this. There's a race in Italy in the end of this month, and then the world whatever mountain running championships in Thailand in early November. So I'll probably work on doing some more vert. I think that's my only plan so far.
Yeah.
And I think this is like uncharted waters for both Coach Harder and I, because I've done trail races before and didn't really have a plan. Kind of just did what I thought I should do training wise. So luckily he's not very controlling with the training, and he really is super open to suggestions, and um, just really wants you to do whatever you think is best. So I think it should be okay. It's worth a shot, and it's something I want to like work into my future. So now it seemed
Yeah.
like it's a solid time to start that.
Nice. How has your running career at Arkansas been? I mean, you made All-American, so you've definitely had success. How have you judging it, I guess, from this point?
Oh, it's been um good, I guess. It's been solid, especially these last 2 years. Um yeah, injury hit, and I was listening to one of your previous podcasts, and I think this is just a common, I mean, I think it's common in college, and I hate that that's the case, but like ace just taking a while to like figure things out and figure yourself out and figure running out. It's just so many things, like, and injuries are always thrown in there for some reason, and so it's just like there's a lot to it, but so much just happening the first 3 years, and I did have some success, but just so sporadically, and I was just always injured and just mentally messed up, and it was it was a struggle for sure. But then I kind of was allowed to just take a step back from the team and take some time for myself and like reset a lot mentally and physically and spiritually. And then came back, kind of a perfect like reintroduction was that first COVID cross country season. We kind of like the SEC kind of let us sort of have, but we were always testing and really only racing conference schools. So yeah, I think just slowly working back into, the competition side of running and it really just that last year, 2020, I guess, indoors and outdoors just kind of like started building me back into loving competition and feeling like whole and having had figured things out. So then that
Yeah.
kind of translated into this year and no injuries, knock on wood, and just trying to carry a bit of my momentum. There's still a lot to figure out.
Mhm.
I don't know if you ever stop figuring things out in running, but hopefully that's a point at some point.
Yeah.
Because
What
I'm really
injuries have
tired of
you
learning. Oh, huh?
what injuries have you battled with?
Oh, I have just stress things, stressy bone things, unfortunately. Yeah,
You think
not
that
too many tendon things, but mostly bone.
you think that time off with all the injuries you just kind of needed to kind of refocus and find your love for running again, and that kind of led to your success this last year?
Yeah, more or less, in an abbreviated way to put it. Yeah, I think everyone needs a break sometime, and there was a lot of extra factors that were going into why I was getting hurt and what was leading me into just like this cycle because the drive was there. It just was not exactly healthy, I guess, obviously leading to injury. Um, but kind of just figuring out that balance and like knowing when to pull back the reins and eat a little bit more and like just kind of
Mhm.
learning how your body fits into the NCAA cycle and the NCAA teams and just it's kind of never ending, it feels like sometimes. So you really I mean, I thought it was impossible to be healthy for 3 seasons. I don't know why. I just was like, whoever does it is just in a league of their own. I don't know how they do it, but I did it, and I look around and I'm like, wow, we're all doing this. It's not impossible. I don't know. I just was so like plagued by, you know, injuries and just thought that it was just a part of the system, but it was also a
Yeah.
part of me too.
I mean, I know what that's like. I don't think I've had 1 year of not having an injury so far, which sucks, but
I
you get
know.
through it.
I
Do you
Are you
know.
think,
are you
oh, go ahead.
comfortable talking about like the causes behind it? Like I know you said there was a lot of things like was it just like the overtraining mainly or what do you think was like the main causes behind it?
Yeah, no, I'm totally comfortable with it. I guess in starting after freshman year, because you know, was living my freshman life and doing my thing and was pretty I had a navicular stress reaction that was actually or fracture, I guess, that was actually started in high school. It just I didn't get the surgery, so it never really healed and
Hmm.
just like freaking split back open. And so I spent like freshman year just pretty like I don't know, tapped out, I guess.
Yeah.
It was just, freshman Lauren just doing freshman Lauren things. And then sophomore or that summer I was like, F this, like I'm done being hurt and like that's not how I'm gonna ride out the rest of college. Like it's college is fun, but I really I'm like, I'm here to run. I'm not here to like do fun stuff really outside of running. And I'm in balance, but there was no balance really there. But so then I just started like training a lot and I came back to school really fit and was just getting like a lot of reinforcement on like how freaking fit I was. And I was like, yeah, and having so much fun. And then foot broke, metatarsal, and then that season went on. But I was always able to like get hurt in the beginning of the cross train my way into fitness for the end because it's so long. So I'd come back for conference or something and score, and then nationals would work its way up again, and it would never go like great because it was like so scrapped together, and that just, I don't know, that just doesn't really work for me. I like to have the confidence of like actual training, and not just be like, oh, we're doing it again. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But then I had a really solid sophomore year, and I think throughout sophomore year I was just developing this like very unhealthy eating disorder, and I don't really know the terms behind everything, so I don't want to like call it something it's not, but I mean it was certainly something. So then I was doing that, but without knowing it, because I was having so much reinforcement from running, and I was having so much fun on the team and with everybody, and I was doing a lot of like, I don't know, I had a new boyfriend, so I'd go rock climbing and like camping, and just like everything was just like feeding me. And I changed my major, and I really liked my major at the time, and like there was just a lot going on, and running was going great, and so I just didn't think anything of it. And then the next year, I went on a bike packing trip with my brother, because I was like, my plan is just to not run in as much in the summer so I don't get hurt in cross country. But instead we just ended up biking so much, I think I was just not recovered ever. But it was just like I was having so much fun, and there was probably like a lot of unhealthiness, balancing the exercise and the food and all of this stuff. And then came back for cross, hurt again, 2019, and this was the year where we were like, we're gonna win this thing, it's gonna be so sweet. And I was like, shoot, I need to not be hurt right now. So then I just like grinded the cross training and did a lot of that, and just really tried to like keep my weight down so the comeback wouldn't be so hard. But also with that, your body doesn't heal when you do that, which I learned the unfortunate way. So was able to come back, and then I had a femoral stress reaction right before nationals, which was definitely like signs of what the fuck are you doing? Like, the body's like, dude, stop doing this. And so yeah, after 2019 we won nationals, and I got to score some points and like help the squad out, but it was not where I wanted to place, like it scored points, but I definitely could have scored more, or less, I guess, in cross country, but could have placed higher. And I ended the race, and we all celebrated. It was so fun. And then the next day I wake up and I'm like, well, I'm out again. Like I felt like I was just out, and now I'm freaking out again for the next season. And that's when I was like, F all of this. Mentally, I was so like jacked up and messed up. And I basically was like, I need time. And Coach Harder was so accepting of that. And, like obviously he'd call and be like, hey, when you coming back? When you coming back? And I was like, I don't know. I just didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing with running. And I was still running. Like I came back from the femur thing pretty quickly. And then I just needed to figure out how I could run healthily and get rid of these like thoughts that I knew just weren't me. It was just like something else was controlling my brain, and it had like taken over and was like making me think these ways I never thought about with running before. And so that was the saga. And then COVID hit halfway through that indoor season and gave me a little extra time to just like reset everything. And yeah, so that the factors were, I think, like a lot of my own reaction to the environment around me, and how I interpreted my own success, and like how I thought, because I think some people probably saw writing on the wall and were like, Lauren, you need to fix your shit, like you're not doing this right. And I probably would have been like, what are you talking about? I'm doing great. Like I was probably so worked up in my own like psychosis or insanity that I was like, you guys don't even know, like I got this. And I didn't get it. It wasn't gotten. So
Are there any like big takeaways, or if you could like talk to yourself like before that period, like what would you tell yourself?
Man, I don't know. I've been battling this a lot lately because like I want to I hate this about myself, and I don't know if everyone's the same way. Okay, hate's a strong word. I wish I didn't have this with myself, but for me to truly change, I need to actually feel that. So I don't know if there's anything I could have done, because it almost took me to go so far one way and then to reach this level of like balance that I feel right now, more or less physically. And I don't know if there's anything I would have changed, because I know that like for me to feel so strongly about this now, I had to live it. You know, like I just said, if somebody would have told me like, hey, writing's on the wall, like this is what you're doing wrong, yada yada. I don't know if I'm so stubborn or what my deal is, but I probably wouldn't have actually changed.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I would have done anything different. I think I'm just, or told myself anything different. Maybe I would have tried to talk to me, but sadly I know myself pretty well, and I don't know if that would have worked. So
Yeah.
I think the unfortunate lessons were learned, but like to put me in a better spot than I was before. So takeaway now, I don't know. It had to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
that
that.
makes sense. What did you like when you talked about that time off that you had to just kind of recharge? Was it just like taking enough time off to where you got like that hunger again, or was there something during that time where it just kind of like clicked, or what made you like want to come back?
um the thing is that I've never wanted to stop running. And
Hmm.
I think that was like partially the unhealthy thing, was like me taking time off wasn't actually like stopping running, which is, probably fed by like must be running, must be exercising. Like I
Mhm.
just needed to like reframe how I approached how running was affecting my life and my mentality and my like view of myself. Um but I went to I volunteered all summer at this like regenerative agriculture like farm, and I was just like living in a tent and working on the farm all summer, and during COVID, and it was just like perched up in this like mountain in basalt, and it, just reground. Like I just felt like it was a like a retreat, and so it was just grounding myself back in other things outside of running and around people that didn't know running at all. And I would just go for my runs, and it was like thumbs up for running, period. Like go you, there was no like workouts, or like maybe I'd throw in a fartlek or something just for fun, but slowly like had to deconstruct some of those notions that I had before. And then I just showed up in August again. I don't know if I told anyone or anything, but I was just like, well, guess I'll give this another try. Like
Uh,
I felt like I had had sufficient time to like reconnect with myself and do some of that work, which is not always fun, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Seems like it definitely worked.
I guess so. So far, I still think I'm like having to like go into crisis mode and figure stuff out again. So I don't know. There's like days when I'm like, okay, I got that part figured out. Like, go you. And that whole year was like, each month just kept getting better and better. I'm like, you're awesome. Like, heck yeah, you're doing this thing. And then you kind of just plateau, and you're like, you're awesome, but there's still so much more to learn. And that's kind of where I'm at now, where I'm like, I still see weaknesses in my armor that I need to like patch up. But I guess that's kind of the fun part. I don't know.
Yeah. How was just going from last season into like USA's, like just competing on like a bigger stage?
Yeah. Well, nationals was not how I had intended or how I had envisioned it going, but it went, and really illuminated like on a pretty big scale, like weaknesses like I'm talking about that I need to fix, and not fix, but go inside and work on. And sadly, running like puts the mirror in front of you, and you're like, you can't escape it. It's just like the sport's so brutal that way.
Yeah.
But after nationals, and came back for the 5K, and just like was just freaking out fun again, and like remember why I enjoyed running however many freaking laps around the track. and why I stood there to begin with. And then after for like the first time to Eugene, I was freaking exhausted. And then we were like, but I was still hoping that I'd made USA's because that was one of my big goals for the season. And I really hadn't like accomplished any of the goals I wanted to this season. And my friend and I were like going through the list and trying to like cross people off, like who's not running, like who just got pregnant, like, you know, we we're just like going down the PDF on who just ran at Portland Track Festival, and it looked like the 1500 was coming around, and I was like, that's what I want to do, like the 1500, you know, 3 3/4 laps, like I can do that. It's like doesn't seem too like mentally exhausting, and I was just so mentally exhausted from the whole season, but especially NCAAs. And then when I got into 15, I was like, all right, I can just go have fun. Like this is gonna be sweet. I just was happy to be there. I didn't make trials the year before, and that was a big goal of mine. And so it was like, rock on, like we're here. I've already run a good 1500. Like I wanted to run faster than my conference 1500, but you know, you don't know what's gonna happen in those races. So it was just like, it was just a really like fun, I don't want to say like redemption feeling, because I didn't feel like I was like at a point where I wanted redemption. I just wanted to go have fun.
Yeah. How was that feeling after you knew that you were moving on to finals?
Kind of strange because I was the tiny queue, like the last little queue. So we were just like, and I'd never really been in a I just don't really race like championship style 1500s really. So you know, prelims and finals just don't really happen that often for me. And so then I was just sitting in that like little TV tent just watching, because I had like fully accepted that I didn't make it. I was like, there's no way 410's gonna go. We were the first heat. I was like, whatever, just sit and watch my friends. So I'm like, okay, I'll sit and watch Chrissy's heat and just watch the rest of the races from the TV thing. And I was sitting next to Danny Jones, and she was just, you know, like just having a really good, we were just having a really good conversation. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, you made it, because she had just made it too. And I was like, huh, that's weird. Like I just did not expect it. And then yeah, I guess I was just stoked I got to stay another couple days, and my flight was already scheduled as if I didn't make the final for some reason. Maybe it's cheaper, I don't know. And then I got to stay and watch Logan, my teammate, run the steeplechase too. So yeah, it just kind of kept happening, but I felt like I was just kind of sliding in. So next time I don't really want to just slide in.
Yeah. What are
Well,
your
let me ask you real quick. Do you think like going into USA's and not having that whole pressure of like competing for a national title like you do at NCAA's, you know, do you feel like that just helped you be able to just go in there and run smoother, like just run a better race because you're talking about patching up your weak spots? Like, do you feel like it was just a good all around day for you? Or, I mean, I know it was the last Q, but I mean, a Q is a Q too as well. So.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, certainly not having that pressure, and you know, you're standing on a line and the camera doesn't even go to you. The camera just like pans past you because you're like sandwiched by two Olympians. So you're like, cool, you can like videotape them, just don't videotape me.
I'll just hang here.
Yeah, exactly. Like no one's really watching you, or like cares really how you finish. And I mean, it's fun, but that's not, you know, that's not how competitive running is. And eventually I'm going to be wanting to be at that level of just like how you handle those moments when there is actually pressure. And like, you know, I think I just love the purity of running. And so kind of just trying to figure out at the moment how to kind of combine what my true love of running is alongside with why I love racing. And so that's kind of what I'm working on right now. But
yeah,
I don't know. I never know when it's going to happen, but I think it just takes some work.
Well, on the bright side, at least you're able to say, like, I've been to this kind of level of racing now. You know, at least you say you got to get that experience in, especially, you know, for a younger person versus everybody that was in that race. So, you know, I think it's something you should definitely look forward to in the future. You know, it's definitely a good achievement to start with.
For sure. And I love like that. I love running fast. So it's super fun to just feel like, okay, maybe the final wasn't the most tactically speedy race like I was hoping it would be for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, they still ran like 4:01, so they ended up running incredibly fast, but that is not how your girl would be running 4:01. So, but in the future, like, it was just cool to feel that energy of like just strong women, just like pass you, just like engulf you in their like power and then spit you out the back, which was unfortunate. But I don't know, I was just like reacting to it and smiling and just trying to have a good time. And hopefully one day I feel that amount of speed and power over the years. So
What are your goals just from the future now? Do you want to make like the world's team, Olympic team, or are you more focused on kind of the trail side? Do you kind of want to combo both, or like what do you want ultimately?
Ultimately I'd like to combo both, and maybe eventually, like way down the line in my running abilities, like 20 or 30 years, who knows, just focus on trail and do some of the longer stuff. But for right now, I still have a lot of time goals on the track, and some things like, to work out that I need to work out on the track. And I want to, like, it's just such like a condensed environment. It just shows you so much about yourself. So I don't want to say until I'm like, I know that I'm ready to make a world's team or an Olympic team. I mean, I don't know if you're ever really ready or what that looks like, because I'm obviously not close right now. But, if training is going towards that, then I'm all in on a goal like that, if I'm in the right place to do that. But I've made the mistake of setting goals that mentally I'm not actually ready for as a runner. And I can't pretend to be something I'm not in the moment. So I think for right now, it's finding this trail runner and track runner in myself, because I've been so focused on track and enjoying that for so long, but tapping back into those original goals of mine of like being a more competitive trail runner and mountain runner. And I'm hoping that it kind of just feeds the track, since I find so much enjoyment in it.
You still have indoor and outdoor eligibility left?
Yes.
So do you have goals for those just for at the college level?
I have big time goals that kind of overflow from last season that I didn't quite achieve. I feel like last indoor and outdoor I was just like barely PRing, but I had gone into the race like, I'm a PR big, like it's gonna happen, and then it just would be like, oh, that. And it felt unfortunate to like be upset with a PR, but when you're just like, you feel like you can go faster, and it just like hadn't really come together. So yeah, I have some time goals set for indoors and outdoors, and mental goals of framing my why with competition. And that's my current, as I'm talking about, like what I'm trying to work on and like dwell into, I guess. Hopefully leading up into indoors. And luckily I don't, the college season can be super long with cross indoors and outdoors. So I'm really happy with this time that I'll have to just kind of focus on like me and training and just like saving the racing goals for March, from March to mid-June, hopefully.
Yeah. How was that vertical mountain running championship race?
Oh, it was great. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I had never been out east really for mountain stuff or many other things really. So yeah, and my dad came with me, and we just like road tripped around New Hampshire and Maine, and it was a lot of fun. But I actually was like, okay, I gotta like actually freaking focus on this race. Like we came all the way out here.
Mm-hmm.
Usually trail races I sign up for are just like, oh, 2 weeks before, like bring the tent, camp out and show up hopefully at the right time. And this one was like, okay, warming up, like setting a race plan, which was a first for a trail race. And like it was fun to actually like compete and just run with like fast swimming, because it was women's first. So like men never caught us. We were never really running with dudes. So it was just like sweet. Like I'm actually running with other like trail runner chicks, and at a part there it just felt like we were just out for a run, like a hard run. And that's kind of fun. And then the like last section was this really steep pitch, and there was like wild strawberries coming out of the hill, and you're just like crawling through the grass and trying not to eat too many strawberries or trying to resist eating strawberries because you have like a K left. But I just love those because I feel like I can just have fun the whole time, and it's really just you versus the mountain rather than you versus everybody else and you versus your thoughts. And it's just like so pure, and it ended up getting me a couple plane tickets to cool places. So I'm really excited about that.
Did you expect to win that, or it was just kind of like a shock when you were like, oh, I won?
I did, because I was like, gosh dang, I've been training all year and just came off a fast 1500. Like power is power, right? You know, like it should work, and tried to work into some more volume like a couple weeks before. But I wouldn't have bought the ticket if I wasn't setting up myself to win. So it just felt like a bigger commitment. Like, okay, like I knew that the spot was only if you won, really. So I was like, I gotta freaking win if I want to make Thailand. But yeah, so I guess I had like set out with intentions to win, and was praying that it was gonna work. But it's amazing how good the cross country skier people are.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Nordic skiers go hard. Like I had just been running all year, and the skier was third, like a minute behind me. I'm like, what the heck? Like, okay, that is like mad respect for sure.
Do you think in the future you want to do something like a 50-mile or 100-mile trail run?
That is the plan, hopefully. I don't
I was trying to
know.
see if there was a limit to your running.
Well, that seems like the perfect combination of just loving to run and be outside, and that's pretty much it. That's really only the two motivations there. But we'll see. I mean, like I have no idea. Like I can't even fathom what that would be like. So it's so naive to say like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, because I have no idea, and I don't want to like discredit how like amazing those people are that can do it and do it, just because I'm like, oh, I'm some doink 20-year-old track girl, like, or 23-year-old track girl that's like, oh, I can run 100 miles. I'm not there yet, but eventually that is the goal. Even if I'm just like walking the whole way or just enjoying, like maybe not even competitively, just for fun. But hopefully that is the goal one of these years down the line. We'll see.
Are there any like particular races that interest you
in that type of distance? Oh man, well, obviously
Leadville,
like the trifecta. My mom's actually doing the Leadville mountain bike race this summer, actually in like a week, like 2 weeks. So she's been grinding for that. But I'm not going to be there for that because my friend's getting married. But she'll report back on how that goes. And but Leadville for sure, just because Colorado, and that part of Colorado is like stunning. Hard Rock is sweet, and Western States. You can say I'm just gonna dream big and say I'm gonna do these things and just hope I speak into existence and the body holds up. But I could just see myself really enjoying just a long slog through the mountains. So
yeah, I run with Adrian McDonald, who won the Leadville 100 last year.
That is sweet.
And just seeing his like races lately, and his runs, like just insane how much like gain he just runs. Like he just did a race in Alaska, I think like 2 days ago, and it just looked, I think it was like 3,000 or 4,000 feet of like gain. It was just over like 20 miles or something. It was ridiculous.
Right on. Yeah, that's pretty gnarly. It's pretty sweet though. What else is he doing this summer?
So he's sponsored by On, which does this like Cirque series. So he's been doing all of their races. So Alaska was the most recent one, and then I think his next one is Leadville in just a few weeks.
Right
So
on.
getting ready for that, trying to repeat as the winner.
That's so sweet. That's awesome.
But he
It's cool to
makes,
see these just pop up. And I love just seeing the people that aren't even going to win. They're just going to finish. It's like that is just as admirable as winning, if not more, because you're out there for so much longer.
yeah. And it was his like first one, I think, because originally he was gonna do Boston or like a big marathon, but because of COVID, it got canceled. And then he was just like, all right, I'm gonna throw myself into this, and then just won.
Damn. That's all I have to say about that. That's impressive. That's not even beginner's luck because it's so aggressive. Like that's just training and preparation and talent, I guess.
I mean, yeah, his shape's insane. He makes any run like look effortless.
I guess that's what happens. I'm not at an effortless running mode right now, let me tell you.
I think it's inspiring though. How much are you looking forward to the Italy race and then Worlds?
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, it's like something on the schedule that doesn't feel like a big stress, or like, I took a break after Loon Mountain Race and I'm just kind of coming back now. So just try not to like put too much stress on getting too, super fit, super fast, and just taking that first Italy race as like a warm up for Thailand. And I need to kind of talk it over with coach about like what type of, because I think I'll still be building into mileage at that point, and I don't want to stop training or stop a build because of that. Kind of just work it into a build and just look at it as like aerobic gains, I guess. So we'll just see. Hopefully not anaerobic. I swear, if I'm anaerobic in that race, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But I am really excited. Like the trip is going to be sweet, and the team looks awesome. And my brother actually ran this race as a junior in I want to say 2019, something like that, 2020, early 2020, and it just looked like he had the best time. So I'm really glad that I get to go and experience what he shared with me firsthand.
Yeah. Do you think course-wise the Italy race is harder than Worlds?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't exactly. I think that's going to be a learn by doing thing for me. Hopefully, I just can run the course before. I haven't looked into it too much. Also, because I'm in Phoenix right now, as you can tell by like how much I'm profusely sweating. And there's not a ton of vert, so I'm trying not to like overwhelm myself and be like, I'm supposed to run that much in a month. We'll see. But I'm gonna go back to Colorado for a little bit. Just try to sprint up some mountains for a second, and hopefully that lasts. But I haven't looked into the course, but they're always hard. Like it's never not hard. So if Worlds is hard, then I'm gonna guess Italy's gonna be and only up, so you don't really get any like reprieve. You just kind of grind. So hopefully the lungs can come around and pull through.
Yeah, I did see for Worlds they have an uphill and then an up and down. Are you doing the up?
Yeah, I think I only qualified for the up because the up and down was in New York the weekend before, and that was like Tabor Hemming, I guess, or previously Scholl won that. And she was an NCAA runner and Colorado girly, so that was really cool to see. But the team was declared there, and then Grayson Murphy already got, I guess, an automatic qualifier for that. So I think that team's set. I hope maybe if someone like something happens, which hopefully nothing happens, I could maybe jump in because I think I race Thursday and then that race is Saturday. So maybe I'm getting a little ambitious, but I would just enjoy like just the experience. So I'm happy with what I get, but if the up and down happens, then I'll be very stoked too.
Yeah. And then we had some quick hit questions. So
right on.
What is the best race distance?
Track or
Anything.
like mountain? Okay, well we're gonna go with track. If there was an outdoor 3K, I would be all about that. But the indoor 3K I think is a sweet distance. I guess there's a steeplechase, but your girl has not ventured on to the steeples. So I like the 3K a lot on the track, but in the mountain scene, if it's up and down, I really like Kendall Mountain. I did that last year, and it was 6 miles up, 6 miles down, and I thought that was a really sweet way to get 12 miles in, and it was just like absolutely brutal on the legs, and it's just like a 6 mile long climb. I don't know how long it took me to get up, but it seemed like the way down was like a quarter of the time. It's just like a wild way to like conceptualize a run. And so yeah, I like that 12-mile like kind of short course distance. The Loon Mountain race was 6 miles up as well, but you didn't get the fun descent, unfortunately.
Yeah. Next, what's a fun fact about you?
Oh, fun. I don't know. Yeah, fun. Right now, while I'm in Phoenix, sweating profusely, I bought a little camper, it's not yet a camper. I cannot qualify it as a camper, but a little Ford Transit Connect van that I am building into a little camper. So that's what I'm doing right now, and it's been mediumly fun-ish. It's kind of it's like that weird fun where you're like, I'm sweating and I'm doing a lot of work, but it's all for like a goal and a purpose. So
yeah. Is Oates the best running dog?
Well, I have a dog that's not as good of a running dog as Oates. Dude, Oates is a freaking beast. How do you know about Oates?
I saw the New Gen video of you and Chrissy Gear running with Oates, and he did like for 8 or 9 miles, and I was like, holy shit.
And it was not like, I mean, it was not a hot day, but it was not a cool day either for spring in Arkansas. But my dog Layla is a little black lab thing, like pit bull probably, and she is a good, if you're going for speed, she's awesome for like 2 or 3 miles, because I put the waist leash on, and she's like a sled dog at heart, so she'll just haul and pull you through like crazy mile splits, and then you're dragging her. So it really evens out to a pretty like terrible run. But Oates is definitely like an alpha running dog, and just an all-around like sweetheart. But my dog here is a little Vizsla, so she's been a really good lifelong running partner for me.
There you go.
As well.
My dog's the same way, with just going out super fast and then dying at the end, but maybe one day
no concept.
be able to do those long distance runs.
Maybe she needs to like harness her pacing, I think. Well, we're probably never gonna figure that out, but it's fun for the meantime. She's fun on rollerblades though, but don't tell Trish I do
that. And then for our Distance Daddies duos, which is like our Mount Rushmore, we're gonna do best places to run, because you've been bouncing all over for different runs. So we will start with you, and then go Eric, Brandon, me, and then do a snake back.
Okay. For nostalgia's sake, Fort Collins.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone agrees, but some people would come, like teammates would come visit me there, and when we still lived there, and I bring them on a run that I'm like, this is the best run ever. Like, it's so awesome. And then I'm like running with them, and I'm like, wait, am I the only one that thinks this run's actually awesome? I think it's just like memories involved, and like, I don't know, just bopping around. Like, it just feels like the home trail. So Fort Collins is up there for me.
Would you pick a specific trail in Fort Collins?
I really like my favorite trail in all of Fort Collins. I don't know if you've done it, but it's Audra. It's at Horsetooth. You like climb the service road, like on the back half, but it gives you this really cool view of Long's Peak and the backside of the teeth. And there's like some dispersed camping over there, but you can kind of like take it as a weird way to get to the teeth. But Audra, if you're ever on that side of the mountain, it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I've done that yet, so I'll have to check it out. Eric?
I'm gonna go with Portland. Also for nostalgia's sake, I think I've lived in a few different places, and that was my favorite one where I've lived in, running wise at least, just with the amount of runners there and the options. There's like a good amount of road loops you can do, or there's the forest park right in the middle of the city. So a lot of good options there.
Nice. Brandon?
I would have to say, I want to say wherever App State's at. I don't remember exactly what city is at, but we had to go there for a
Boone?
conference one time. Yeah, Boone, that's it. And I mean, man, just going up to North Carolina where literally everything is different, like the air's different, the views are different. I mean, that was just like such a crazy experience to me because I'm from, far down South Louisiana. We don't have, any type of hills down here. So, that was just really cool for me for, just an experience standpoint. That was probably one of my favorite places to go.
Yeah. I would go with Santa Cruz. I was just there like a couple months ago, and just like how diverse, I guess, it was, like going from where I was staying up in the mountains where it was just super hilly, great trails, all the giant redwoods that you were running by, and then the next day I was like running on a trail next to the beach. So just having both of those at your disposal for runs just was like amazing, and I was very jealous.
Yeah, Santa Cruz is next level running for sure. And it's like trails are everywhere and they're all perfect.
Yeah.
It's unreal. And the biking there is nutso. People go so hard.
Yeah, that's true. And then my second one, I would have said Fort Collins, but I'm gonna go with Boulder. I haven't run there a ton, but I did my like half around the reservoir, so that was a cool area. And then I just did mags for the first time this past weekend. So I thought the trails were great. That was a great experience, and like the culture is just awesome for running there.
For sure. Am I supposed to do two or?
Yeah. So go.
Oh, okay.
Or Brandon will go next, and then
Okay,
Eric, and
cool.
then you last.
Sweet.
My second one, I will pick Chicago. Running in that like business area on the river was really cool, and then going like kind of on that little lakefront area. That was a really cool experience. It was also colder at that time, but it was like a different cold because it's not really, freezing cold in Louisiana either. So, yeah, definitely like those two northern parts were like a better running experience for me.
Nice.
All right. Can I take like Reno/Tahoe, or is that not
Yeah.
allowed?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll let you
I'm
take
gonna do Reno/Tahoe. Reno has a good amount of like trail systems, and they have a really nice running store too that puts on a bunch of good events. And then Tahoe, obviously, all the trails up there, and they have actually a pretty decent amount of like road trails also. So yeah, I did the Reno Tahoe Odyssey in June, which is just a huge 180 something mile race around, starting in Reno, going to Tahoe, and then back to Reno. And that was an awesome experience and really showed me like everywhere that area has to offer running wise. So they have a lot of range, definitely.
Shout out to your team for breaking the course record.
Yep.
Right on. Heck yeah. Okay, so I would also say Santa Cruz, but I'm gonna go different too because it's been spoken about. But I feel like I need to plug Hot Springs, Arkansas. 10 out of 10 running roads. I haven't done too many roads or runs there, but one of my good friends lives or is from there, and I'd go home with her, and it feels like the Fort Collins of Arkansas, but kind of a little bit not as populous, I guess. And you definitely have to run if you go in November, which is always when I feel like I go, like October, November. You have to run in like orange so you don't get shot.
Oh no.
So that's a bit dangerous, but I mean, obviously I'm still fine. But it's just like magical runs in the fall, and there's like springs popping out of the like rocks. So if you're dying, you can just like slurp some water. But Hot Springs is a sweet place and maybe one of my favorite places in Arkansas. So gotta
Sweet.
plug old Arky.
Yeah. Have you ever been to CrossFit Arkansas?
Don't know. I've been a lot of places in Arkansas, but usually I'm in the passenger seat and I don't really notice when I pass through a town because
Okay.
so small.
It's
Where
like
is this?
literally it's like far south, like border of Louisiana, Arkansas.
I drove back with friends from that or technically New Orleans back to Fayetteville. So would I have gone through there on that drive? We went through like all of
It's very possible, yeah.
all of Louisiana, like part of Mississippi, and then into Arkansas. So maybe, but I was probably sleeping or not paying attention. I haven't made it south very, very far, like into southern Arkansas. Is that where you're from or
Friends
something?
took me there when I was in Louisiana, and there's like this haunted like conductor light there.
It's a
that you
haunted
go
road.
to, like, yeah. You like
I love
drive
how
down
they
this,
just
like,
try to make everything haunted.
yeah,
Yes.
basically. You drive down this like dirt road in the middle of nowhere. There's like no houses, nothing, just the woods. And then you like park your car and you're supposed to like flash your headlights like 3 times, and then like this light appears that's like the conductor like getting towards you, like walking towards you. And I went and we did it, and there was a light, and I can't explain it.
Oh my god.
They were getting so scared too.
And as soon as I got out of the car, it disappeared.
They have that same exact thing in Colorado Springs, Gold Camp Road. You like go in a tunnel and you do it, and then there's a light, and you like hear kids screaming or something.
Oh gosh, why are we playing with this, guys? Not like things I want to test. Okay, in Fort Collins, have you heard the Strauss Cabin Road story? Apparently that like there's like those 2 silos that are haunted too.
Oh,
I've
really?
never had a truly haunted experience there, but it's freaky in there. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I don't
That's
try
what
to
the
like
South is
conjure
all
any of
about.
that. So yeah.
I mean, in general, I would say I don't believe in ghosts, but I can't explain that, so maybe.
You just can't. I don't
Yeah.
know,
Take you
man.
on we'll take you to the haunted spots in know the next, Kyle. I know a couple spots that
Alright.
are there, like haunted graveyards, haunted houses, blah blah blah.
And then we ended up getting pulled over by the cops, so that was more scary.
Just like a double whammy, just to bring you back to what really matters. What's
Yeah,
really
definitely.
scary.
All right. Well, I think that's all I had, unless you guys have any other questions.
I'm good.
Yeah, you gotta plug your socials, Lauren. Where can people find you?
LGZ 5Es on everything, I think, but I don't know if my Twitter is still in existence, but that's what it was when I used to be on Twitter. But I think they take those off. I don't know. I don't really go on Twitter, but Instagram, LGZ 5Es. I think that's all like I partially use, but don't expect anything super epic on Instagram because I don't know. It's a little doinky, so don't expect like any influencer-ish, but maybe later. We'll see. But I don't know.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
Yep.
Nice to meet you guys too.